Hi, this is Dr. Christian Conti. I'm a psychologist whose area of expertise is anger management. I co founded a center in South Lake Tahoe, California to work with people who had been convicted of violent crimes. Specifically, people would commit a violent crime, then they would be sentenced after they got out of prison or jail to 52 weeks of anger management with me. But you don't have to have been convicted of a violent crime, and you don't have to be labeled a violent offender to experience the emotion of anger. All people experience the emotion of anger. We've all had that experience where we are going about our day and we're doing things the way we want to be doing them, and then someone says or does something that we allow get to us until we get angry and we act out and we do something that we wish we hadn't done, or at least say something that we wish we hadn't said. So today I'm going to go over two techniques that you can use that are hands-on and very pragmatic. The first is what I call my puppet world technique. Let's say that I run into this puppet here on the street. Now the puppet's going about his day and he's having a nice day. But I come up to him and I decide to be rude and I say to him, "Hey, I don't like your hat. I don't like your nose. I don't like your goofy looking sweater here." And as I say these things to this puppet, the puppet gets all upset. Now he's really upset. And then I say to him, "I'm just messing with you, man. You're cool. You're a good puppet." Now he's happy again. Who's in control of this puppet right now? That's right. I'm in control of the puppet. In other words, I, being the person who is talking to the puppet, is in control. The puppet's not in control of himself. Now that might seem silly or not relevant until we realize this. Every time we allow someone else to determine how we feel or what we do, then we are becoming that person's puppet. That means that's you, that means that's me. And we all do this from time to time. But visual techniques are very helpful because just by seeing that puppet, we can recognize and say, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be someone else's puppet. I would like to be in control of my life rather than just turning that control over to someone else. Now, how do we maintain this control? And that's the second technique that I want to show you. See, our power that we have is an intangible thing. How big is power? We don't really know how big power is. And as long as it's intangible, it's difficult to discuss or talk about. But if we could visualize power as something tangible, then that can be helpful. So let's imagine Iron Man. You know, Iron Man has that power suit, and he's got his power source right here in his chest. Well, let's imagine that this book is my sense of, this is my power. And I'm going to put it right here, just the way Iron Man has it. It's going to be right here in my chest. Now, if this were my power source, and this is a physical thing that I'm now seeing, and I'm going about my day, and I run into someone who wants to be rude or mean or say something mean about me, if someone does that, why would I then want to take my power after they say something mean or do something that I don't like and then hand them my power? When it's something physical that I can see, it seems ridiculous. Why would I want to give my power away? But that's exactly what we do all the time. We take our power, we're having a good day, we're doing things we want the way we want to be doing them, someone says or does something, and we just hand our power over. I say, I would rather hold on to my power. I would rather keep my power. Same thing with being a puppet. I don't know about you, but I don't like the idea of being someone else's puppet. I don't want to be someone's puppet, and I want to hold on to my power. Let me tell you how powerful these two techniques can be. I was working with a man who was in my groups, one of my groups for people who had committed violent crimes. And he came to the group one week, and he said, he told the group, he said, "Man, Doc's legit." I mean, now that's true, and that's okay to say, but I said, "So why are you saying that?" And he said, "Well," he said, if it wasn't for what you taught us last week, I wouldn't be sitting right here this week." So he continued, he shared. He said, "This past week, I saw a guy from a rival gang who stabbed me several years ago. And when I saw him, I went inside my house, I went into my closet, I pulled out my gun, I loaded it, I cocked my gun." He said, "As soon as I cocked my gun, I saw your face, Doc." Now, I don't really like when people see my face when they're cocking a gun, but he laughed. He said, no, it was a good thing." He said, "I saw your face and I remember what you said about giving away our power. And I realized that if I would have gone out there and I would have shot him, I would have given him my power. I would have ended up been arrested, I'd have been in prison, and I would have probably gotten a death penalty. And so basically his entire life would have been thrown away, in addition to killing somebody else and taking somebody else's life. but he was able to recognize that this was his power. And the guy stabbing him years ago already happened. He himself had already done things, been sent to prison, and been out. He liked his freedom. He liked having his power. Why would he want to give that power away? Why would he want to just become that person's puppet? By understanding these techniques, he was able to maintain control, and he was able to be with us in those groups. And he ended up doing extraordinarily well, by the way. You don't have to be in a gang situation for these anger management techniques to be helpful for you. It could be as simple as a coworker saying something to you, and then you hurry up and jumping whenever the coworker says something, and automatically becoming that person's puppet and allowing that person to take control of you. What I would invite you to do this week is this. Think about that technique. Visualize that puppet and ask yourself, do I really want to be someone else's puppet? Or visualize giving away your power and say, if this was my power and I could see it and feel it, would I really want to give it away to someone? I don't think that you'd want to do that. And if you do want to give away your power, or you do want to be someone else's puppet, at least be aware that you're doing it, because over time that in and of itself can be helpful. If you like these techniques, or if you like what I'm teaching, please visit my website at www.drchristianconti.com. And if you're a counselor, a psychologist, or a social worker, don't even be afraid to pick up a copy of my book, or maybe even a couple copies. They make great gifts, so if you want to pick up a couple, you can never have too many of those.